Okay, terrific. This is how to make Sekanjabin, Persian in origin. It is a sugar syrup with vinegar and cooked down to a concentration. This bottle is from my last year's batch, and I dilute this 1 part syrup to 9 parts water. So this bottle does a 3 to 5 gallon container of beverage when I'm out on a site. And how strong you make it is how sweet you want it, basically. And I like a real light sweet, and I find it more refreshing, especially on a hot day. Some people like it much sweeter, and so they would dilute it less. The magic of Sekanjabin is the vinegar interacting with the sugar syrup, and that's what makes it a restorative. And that you can rehydrate very quickly with Sekanjabin, and it's easy to carry. I can't carry a 5 gallon bucket to the car, but I can carry this to the car in an empty 5 gallon beverage container. So it's very convenient too. Sekanjabin was used medievally from what I can read, and I haven't done serious research, but it was viewed as a medicinal tonic, and more often was pour a dollop into a cup and fill it up with hot water and drink it hot, which I've never tried, but now that I've read that, I'm going to. But it can be made with mint, or it can be made with lemon balm. It was made with, this method was used to make multiple different kinds of medicinal syrups, but it was viewed more as a medicinal. I kind of view it that way because I've been on so many sites over the years where I and other people were getting seriously, dangerously dehydrated. I was to the point of passing out at a Gulf War years ago and stumbled into a tent and thought, wow, here goes like $80 because it was $6 a glass at a food and beverage stand, and 1 glass, and I was completely rehydrated. So 8 ounces did it. And so it is a restorative, and I think it tastes really good. So the method is fairly simple. Sugar syrup is a sugar syrup, and I'm going to do 2 cups of sugar and pouring, and 2 cups of water and 2 cups of vinegar. And you bring it to a boil, making sure that the syrup making sure that that the sugar is completely dissolved. And I'm going to put the sugar and the water in now, because I think that pouring 2 cups of vinegar in and boiling it is going to get so aromatic that I won't be able to stir it. And you stir this syrup over a medium heat while sugar and water is magically becoming syrup. And the basic ratio, this is super simple, and I find all different ratios online, but it's equal parts. 1 part water, 1 part sugar, 1 part vinegar. Most of the recipes that I see online talk about a 1/2 cup of mint leaves, and I put a lot more in. I just picked my mint a little bit ago, and I've started cleaning it. You don't have to clean it. I like the mint leaves off of the stems, and stripping the mint leaves off. I just found a little friend on one of the leaves that made it through picking and made it through washing twice in sink. And so stripping the leaves off also gives you a peek at who might have come in on your leaves. This little tool is a very handy little thing, because you stick a stem through, and there are your leaves. As I said, you don't have to get every little bit of stem off, because some at the top won't always go. But this makes, I used to hand pick the leaves, and this makes it just a lot faster. And most recipes say 1/2 cup of mint leaves. I generally use about 2 cups. When I first made Sekanjabin, I boiled the mint leaves with the sugar syrup, and then I read someplace and started doing it where I steep the mint leaves after the sugar syrup is cooked and the vinegar is in it. And that takes away a bitter aftertaste that I was seeing with where I was boiling the leaves. So I think steeping and thinking it as a tea almost is better. So that's the method I'm doing today.
Helena?
Yes.
Can I confirm that you said it was 2 cups of water, 2 cups of sugar, and 2 cups of vinegar?
It's the way I make mine.
Great. Okay, thanks. I just wanted to make sure before I added too much vinegar and
Now I'm not cooking the vinegar at the front end. I'm syruping first, because the fumes off the vinegar boiling are intense. And I had scissors around because I just tried to force too much mint through my little leaf stripper. So, because you can also just pluck the leaves off. Doesn't matter if there's stem in it. I just find it very hard to strain if I've got tons and tons of stems in the way. And remember to continue stirring your sugar syrup. My sugar all just settled on the bottom. I'm going to turn mine up a little bit and get it bubbling. As usual, when I go out to pick mint, I always end up with a lot. Most recipes say half a cup to a cup for the amount that we're making. Right now I'm sitting at loose pack about 2.5 cups. So I'm going to keep stripping the leaves off. Fun to have a kitchen. And a refrigerator and counters.
A dishwasher. I'm so excited.
Now, this is a mint that had started to bloom out. I have never cooked the mint. I never put the mint flowers in. With some herbs, if you put the flower in, it gives you a much different taste. So I clip those off. Because I want my mint to keep producing all summer, I tend to clip off the tops, probably the top third to half of each stem, or as close as I can get to that, because that will force more growth. Bushy, it won't spend its energy making flowers, but instead will spend its energy making more leaves, which is what I want. Okay, now my sugar syrup is bubbling now. And I'm looking for a reduction in total volume of about a third to a half. So I have 4 cups of stuff in there right now. So I want that to go down to about 2.5 to 3 cups of total liquid. Because that tells you that the sugar syrup is concentrating then.
Ooh-wee, this is a very minty kitchen.
Yes. Wait until the vinegar hits it. One safety factor in making Sekanjabin is do not lean over the pot when you pour the vinegar in.
Helena, this is
Yes.
Lissa. Do you have a preference on vinegar type?
Um, Different vinegars will create a slightly different aroma or a different, a slightly different taste. I use apple cider vinegar predominantly because we are allergic to grapes in this house. So we can't use like red wine vinegar, which gives you a base that has a little slight pink color to it and is very lovely, and you get some of that flavor. Lots of people online that I see will use balsamic, and you can also use cheap white vinegar from your laundry room. And the majority of the taste is going to come from the mint and the sweet from the sugar. Lemon balm also makes a lovely Sekanjabin, but the vinegar is strictly up to what you prefer. I use apple cider instead of white because I think that gives it a little extra flavor. And of course, it's not made from grapes, so it doesn't make anybody at my house sick.
Awesome. I've done apple cider vinegar, red wine vinegar, which I didn't like at all, but I don't like red wine. And I did balsamic, which was really sweet. But I've never used as much mint as you're using, so I've got to try your version. That looks
Okay.
awesome.
Well, I have lots of mint and I love mint. And most of my Sekanjabin ends up being drunk at outdoor events. And because I dilute mine down so far, because I arbitrarily decide that most people who are there probably need the liquid much more than they need the sugar. And so because I dilute mine down so far, that 1 part to 9 parts water, I want a really strong mint flavor because by the time it's diluted all the way down, it's a very light, fragrant mint flavor. If you were using it like, I don't know, 2 parts to 1, or making it really sweet like a soda pop, I would imagine that would that this much mint might be overwhelming. So you think about how you want to use it, and if it's going to be day to day and kids. And I have never tried any artificial sweeteners to try to do this, mostly because I'm allergic to them. But I'm betting that maybe the preservative, my Sekanjabin I store in the fridge just because I get nervous. But allegedly the vinegar and sugar, and of course you don't leave the mint leaves in, but you steep them and then strain them out. And some of my stuff is, gosh, a year old, 9 months old. And everything I read online says that it is a preservative in and of itself and that it will keep in a cool, dark place. But I get nervous, so I keep mine in the back of the fridge. It's also why I go for this kind of concentrate, because storing this size of little hip flask doesn't take up much space in my garage fridge. So that's where I do it down there. I don't know if you can read it. I put the dilution on the bottle because if somebody's helping me in a field kitchen, I have seen people start to pour 5 or 6 bottles into 1 tub of water. And I'm like, no, that's a waste. We won't have enough. So that's probably getting close to how much mint I need. Do I have another friend? No, that's just a. Okay. Okay, I'm taking a spoon and kind of drizzling, and my syrup isn't as syrupy as I want it yet. And that's just kind of like a feel. I want it to have a little bit of thickness to it, but not cook down tons. Then strainer, bowl, and I don't think I have any empty bottles up, and something to strain into whatever your container is. And then I had the question, does Sekanjabin freeze? And I don't know. I've never tried it. So I'm going to try it. I have these. They're originally Ball designed these to make flavored butter cubes that you keep in your freezer. And you pop a cube out and you saute chicken or veggies or whatever. So I'm going to try filling this up and making a Sekanjabin concentrate, ice cubes, with the idea that maybe 1 or 2 cubes in a pitcher of water would make just some to drink around the house when you aren't doing high volume. So I'm going to give it a try, and I'll know in a couple of weeks because I'll pop one out and see if it works. Okay, looking at my pot, I think mine has come close to concentrating or reducing down by about a third. And there's no sugar granules visible at the bottom of the pot. It's all just bubbles, which means that the sugar and the water have bonded together and it won't granulate out after when it's cool. Now I'm going to start pouring vinegar. Oh, come on. Ah. Probably. It has a little poury thing that designed, I think, to splash gently on salads. And I'm way beyond splashing gently on salads.
Be like that.
Bingo. Now, this is the first time that I've tried using a cider vinegar.
No, Mom, you need to shake that up. Remember, it's settled at the bottom.
Yeah, with organic and with a mother in it, which has more vitamins and stuff. We'll see how it turns out. And 2 cups of vinegar. I'm turning the fire down on my sugar syrup in the hopes that, whew, there's a vinegar smell just opening that. And then I'm going to stir the vinegar into the sugar syrup enough to heat it.
Do not put your head directly over
Yeah.
the pot of vinegar and sugar.
Yeah, not for the first 5-10 minutes. It's like making Easter eggs with over-anxious little kids. It's potent. Turn that up a little and let it bubble. 1, 2, 3, 4. You could probably save yourself a whole step if you had a muslin bag like you use for brewing and you put all the mint leaves in and brewed it like a tea bag. I'm never that organized, so I just pour it over, steep, and then strain it to get the leaves out.
Actually, the cloth bag is a bad idea. It takes away a lot of the essential oils of the mint, which is what helps preserve it.
Oh, okay. My resident expert. Did you guys hear that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm bringing my sugar syrup vinegar mixture back up to a boil. I'm going to see it bubble before I pour it over the mint leaves. Questions? Who's here?
Liliana.
Mm-hmm. And the Warrens, because I can never remember society names. Who else is here?
Miriam's here.
Hey, hi.
Hi.
Are
This
you
is
watching or
Euphemia.
making? Hey, how are you?
How are you?
Yeah, hanging in there or hanging out there. One of the two.
I hear you.
I'm Svana.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, Jean.
Lissa from Dragon Spine's here.
Oh, well, welcome, welcome. I would love to see pots of Sekanjabin. And by the way, it was my mistaken spelling because it is S-E-K, it's A instead of O. Sekan, K-A-N. And that was my spelling error because I was just doing it on the fly.
Wait.
Because we have J-O-N and it's J-A-N. K-A-N, K-O-N.
No, you are so asking the wrong person.
That's true.
Okay, wait. So I've been spelling it Sekanjabin.
Yes, but in our announcement of the class, we put an O in the place of one of those A's.
Aha.
And that was me. I'm pretty sure.
Who knows?
Okay, I've got a good rolling bubble on my syrup with the vinegar. Still holding my head back.
Yeah, it's pretty whiffy, all right.
If you're making, you probably have fumes like crazy right now. And, whew. Oh, back roll. Woo.
It's probably not the time to ask you a question, but I'm using honey. So is the reduction the same?
Yes. You know, it is, I imagine every time I make it, it's a little bit different. I have never tried honey because I'm usually making it like ginormous batches to be able to take it to camping events. And while honey is probably more period because sugar, refined sugar was very dear and kind of rare. And so I would imagine that honey was more available in period. I have it because of the cost factor. So I'll be anxious to hear how yours turns out. But ultimately, although honey is healthier and has trace minerals and is yummy and all that, cooking wise, a sugar is a sugar is a sugar.
I'm not sure that's actually true. The only reason I say that is because I was like, I don't seem to have my normal sugar. So I used coconut sugar, which does not seem to be syruping.
Is it dissolving?
Yes.
Does it dissolve?
Yes.
You're just going to have to cook it down longer and harder. Coconut sugar is more stabilized with other agents.
Okay.
So it'll be an interesting experiment.
I have an entire pile of mint growing outside, so if this is a failed effort because I did things in the wrong order or used the wrong sugar, I can always try again.
The list of mistakes we have made is legendary.
Props to that.
Did you know, for example, while the mint leaves are steeping here, if you have coconut milk and you put fresh lemongrass in it, because we did that for a curry at a camp out, and we had the jars of coconut milk, and I got, instead of dried lemongrass, I got real lemongrass and crushed it and put it in the jars, and then we bounced our way down to the campsite. And when you take the lid off coconut milk and lemongrass, it explodes. It volcanoes like a kid's experiment, and foams and foams and foams. And I'm on the phone with one shoulder calling Rebecca at home and saying, am I going to kill anybody? I don't have anything else to put on it. And it's an enzymatic reaction. And so
Not dangerous or poisonous.
just real messy. So when I opened the second and the third jars, I opened them inside the cooking vessel and ripped the lid off and then jumped back. And so, yes, they're not dangerous, but certainly amusing. So it'll be good to hear how honey Sekanjabin and the coconut turn out.
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
Because I also promptly forgot your directions and put the mint leaves in while I was heating things up. So I've now done the thing that makes them kind of bitter. So we'll find out. It could be terrible. Okay. We'll have to try again. We'll just find out.
You can also add a little salt in if it's a little bitter.
Yeah, a little bit of salt in to, like, if you get really bitter, horrible coffee out of a diner while traveling, and you can put like 6 to 8 grains of salt, like 6 to 8 grains, and toss them into your cup of coffee and stir them, and it will neutralize the bitter.
Oh, wow. That's
Of course, it's bitter to
fascinating.
go find better coffee, but there are times when that option is not available to you. And so that has been miraculous a couple times. So are you doing 2 cups of each like I am? So what do you think, Beck? Half teaspoon? Teaspoon?
Oh, like an eighth of a teaspoon.
So like an eighth of a teaspoon of salt.
Okay.
Could counteract some of the bitter.
I did attempt, because I needed to boil the water and sugar mixture longer. I don't know if you can see this. I did pull my mint leaves out.
Okay, that should help too.
So I figure I can pour it all over the mint leaves again once it's further along.
Well, and remember, you're looking for like a coffee syrup sort of consistency, not like pancake syrup.
Yeah. This is a
Right.
fairly light sugar syrup.
It's
so
super watery right now, so
Okay.
we're a long way from that.
are you hard boiled?
Yeah, pretty much. It's not the
Okay.
like, oh my god, I might boil over hard boil, but it's
No.
rolling pretty good.
To take it to syrup, mine had was all bubbles on the top, kind of a mat of bubbles.
Oh, okay. I'll turn it up a little bit then.
And we also have a really powerful stove.
Yeah, I may have chosen the burner that's a little iffy. Vashti, did I? Was that the burner that sometimes is not awesome?
Oh, this one.
That one? Okay, we're good then. Never mind. my housemate is down here to continue working on the tiling project in my kitchen.
Which is lovely, by the way.
Oh,
I've
thank
so
you.
enjoyed following the development.
Thank you.
Helene,
Yes.
there is a question in the comments, and I wasn't sure if you saw it.
I do not have comments.
Okay,
So please let me know what they say.
so it's actually from Asian. He asked if you know of a period alternative that. Wait, I can't read that.
Doesn't use vinegar.
Thank you. Because he hates the taste of vinegar.
It
Low-
doesn't taste like vinegar.
Okay, but say someone just really doesn't want to use vinegar, is there something else that they can use?
Well, they could make a sugar water and steep the mint leaves, and then they would have a simple sugar like what they use in the bars. It would probably need to be refrigerated more.
Okay.
Because the vinegar is part of what gives it its longevity. Becca has a comment.
Verjuice will work. So will a dried citrus base. So like the kind of verjuice you get from a Seville orange. I've swapped it out for powdered lemon because that's going to be a little bit more stable. But verjuice would be the period alternative.
Or you can get dried powdered lemon. And Becca's researching on the other computer while we're doing this. So to completely avoid vinegar, going with what about citric acid? Just the powdered stuff like you put on fruit to keep it from browning?
That'd work. Like the less sweet citrus juices are also an alternative. So like lemon juice, but you need to make sure to get kind of that pulp because the pulp will reduce its stability. So
vinegar is the acid, and it's the acid in the vinegar that interacts. That's why any vinegar is fine. It's just you need the acid to interact. But to do one without the vinegar, then yeah, lemon juice. Orange juice is probably too sweet.
Yes.
So an acidic lemon or lemon powder. Lemon powder is miraculous in baking. We discovered that several years back, where you make lemon bread and then you stir a tablespoon of lemon powder into it, and it's just like zing, or lemon bars.
Why did you
Lemon
tell me that?
marshmallows.
Pardon?
I said, why did you tell me that?
We also do it when we make homemade marshmallows. And it's, oh boy, the vinegar's still really strong. But, so, I don't know if you can see, but that's kind of what mine looks like. And my mint leaves are all soggy and yeah, and you can steep for a long time. That's really
Mine
dark.
looks like Coca-Cola.
Yeah, it does. What kind of vinegar did you use?
Ew.
No. Liliana, what kind of vinegar?
Apple cider vinegar,
Okay.
coconut sugar, which is also brown,
Ah,
and then I put the mint leaves in there.
That would
Right
be the
off the
coconut sugar.
so I have a bowl with a pouring lip to make it easier later. And I have my syrup concentration. I'm pressing out the mint leaves to get all the moisture out. And that is, can we tilt this up and let them see?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, this is the first time I've used that organic cider vinegar, and it is a little bit darker than commercial non-organic regular cider vinegar, because this is a little bit darker than this batch is. To make just a glass of Sekanjabin, for my taste, I would pour about like that, maybe a little bit more. So maybe ounce, ounce and a half. And then I would fill it up with water. And it's actually foamy a little bit. So that's probably approximating that 1 part Sekanjabin syrup to 9 parts water, because I like mine not terribly sweet with lots and lots of mint.
So just for point of reference, I am still boiling the coconut sugar water. It is still watery and there is no froth. So note to self, coconut sugar maybe not the best choice.
Okay, well, it will be interesting. I have talked with or emailed with Her Excellency about a virtual feast where we have, yeah, maybe later, Sam, it's too sweet. Where we have recipes and we try making them different ways and experiment, like to find a gluten-free variation of something, and then have people throughout the Baroness who, because we have lots of food allergies and lots of sensitivities, and have people take the same recipe and try making it with different ingredients, and then share our results that as to what works, and that would develop if you're gluten-free and you want a cheese pie, or if you're lactose intolerant and you want to try a cheese pie. We tried this and it didn't work, or tried this and it did work. So Sekanjabin is very much what people want it to be. Like I say, this one that I just did, where I probably had, I don't know, maybe 2 ounces of syrup in a 12-ounce glass, and it's way too sweet for me. But some people would, it's less sweet than pop, but I'm sure for some people it wouldn't be sweet enough. You can store it in anything. Obviously, you sterilize what you store in. I have these nifty little hip bottles. I can't even remember what we originally bought them for.
Cordial.
When Gabriella was making cordial. So I put them in this because it's space effective and to get bottles ready, because I did not get everything ready, because really I want the syrup to cool a little bit before I bottle it. And but I would run the bottles through either hot soapy water and rinse and drain well, or I usually just throw them in the dishwasher and let the dishwasher sterilize. And then, yeah, it's not rocket science. You put a funnel and you pour and then you seal, which is why I want the syrup to be a little bit cooler before I do that. And then I just store them in the fridge.
Hélène, there's another comment. It's from, and I'm probably going to slaughter your name, and I'm very, very sorry, but Samuel DeGrasse?
Yep.
And he asks, is there any added herbs that you offhand of know that would make it taste terrible? For example, don't mix cumin, right? Yeah, cumin in with the mint kind of stuff.
Now, all of mine has been pretty well single ingredient. That's kind of almost a Gabriella question.
It's a sugar base, so you wouldn't have to avoid things like nutmeg that can be a purgative when combined with alcohol or things like that. Yeah, I think it basically just boils down to a taste thing. I certainly wouldn't put anything of a chili pepper variety in here because it's hard to stabilize the active ingredients. But yeah, most of it's to taste. I mean,
I suppose, Sir Sam, that you could drop like a cinnamon stick in to the when you're boiling the syrup, because that's where I would flavor. I would flavor in the sugar syrup, and that keeps most flavors relatively light. I don't know that I would drop a cinnamon stick into the bottled ones. So, and I just read a thing that I'm not remembering completely that went through a whole litany of lemon balm and what are some other, oh gosh, one person said they tried making it with edible flowers. So
basil's nice if people aren't into mint.
Yeah, basil would be an excellent. Medievally, they thought all different kinds of things had specifically medicinal purposes. So they would make the syrups and either give them straight as a tonic or do it with hot water. Okay, cool, Sam. I'll look forward to tasting your Sekanjabin.
I've seen a lot of recipes mention cucumber, and it looks like they're grating it up and adding it to the beverage as they're drinking it, not so much that they're making a concentrate.
Mm-hmm. The cucumbers would give just a little light flavor. I wouldn't boil them, but slicing them kind of like a Pimm's, that is a herbal gin, a very popular drink in England, and they put some of the gin in and fill it with soda water or 7-Up, and then float slices of cucumber in it, and it imparts a lovely taste, kind of like when you do, like for large servings, if you have a big spigot beverage server, I often will float cucumber slices or the orange skin or something in it at service to look pretty.
Well, and cucumber is also an excellent diuretic.
Yeah, it is.
No.
So Sir Samuel has a couple more comments. So he said to, okay, keep it simple with nothing you wouldn't stick in a cordial. He's like, got it, unless you got some pepper and want to make a batch for reaction's sake. And then he asks, how does it do with citrus additions?
Beautifully.
Beautifully. I think the citrus and mint goes really well together. So if you were serving it fancy in glasses, putting a slice of orange in, and I think you could cook like lemon powder into the sugar syrup.
You could also cook any citrus zest
I think it's
in the syrup.
Yeah. So by zest, you have to make sure you're taking the outer skin of the orange and not the white pithy part, because it will turn super bitter on you. But zesting some orange or lemon, or putting the lemon powder into the syrup while you're boiling it, would give it a lovely flavor. I've never tried that, but I may have to now. I picked a lot of mint.
So there's another question. This one from, and I may get this wrong, and I apologize. Svana. Svana. Thank you. She asks, what about ginger? Could you steep ginger with the mint? Or would you want to add the ginger in when you're making the simple sugar?
You need to be very careful about the amount of the ginger. This compound will multiply its effect. I'd stick with only fresh ginger, and you could do it either way, but I would personally cook it in the syrup.
Yeah, I agree. I would take chunks of the fresh ginger peeled and just drop it into the sugar syrup, and remember that it will be intensified, but then you're going to reduce it. Like I say, I put like 1.5 ounces in this glass, and this will make 2 glasses. So it's a very concentrated flavor.
Okay. She says, okay, good. And I have a question. Being a fledgling cordialist, and I've been doing some research, and this particular thing that you're making, it sounds very similar to the aqua vitaes and such, because they were medicinal based, but they would put so many different herbs and different spices and you keep it simple, but do they ever do where they do this huge complex of spices and herbs?
They do. Some of the Rebecca will have an answer too, but some of the they also dropped whole rubies and whole pearls into herbal concoctions if someone was rich enough to pay for it. So I assume that they probably did, and I certainly found other examples of, syrup. Ginger syrup calms the stomach, and so there were certainly other things, and I imagine that they would mix things also. I keep mine pretty simple because I know exactly what I'm using it for. I'm going to rehydrate people at camping events, and it saved me a couple times. So I keep mine simple that way, and to appeal to the widest spectrum of people, because mint's pretty innocuous. But Gabby's done a lot of cordial making, so Gabriella will jump in on that.
Okay, so what we're making here is technically considered a type of shrub. And the main difference between a shrub and a cordial is what your suspension is. Cordials are always going to be an alcohol base. Shrubs are always typically going to be some sort of sugar source combined with some sort of acid source. And it's always intended to be diluted with water. Now, aquavit is a very specific type of cordial, because they would take usually a wine base and infuse, as you said, a massive variety of things into it. Aquavit, everybody had a different recipe for it. So yeah, everything from pearls to ginger to, Lord knows what else.
Yeah.
But aquavit quite specifically was unique in the fact that, unlike a lot of the cordials that we make, which are an infused alcohol base, that is then strained and usually sweetened and stabilized. Aquavit was always distilled, which is one of the reasons you don't see it showing up at a whole lot of A&S competitions around here. Because, of course, distilling for anything beyond personal use is illegal in the United States. But that's why aquavit in period recipes was always referred to as being, of a very crystal clear quality or something along those lines, because it was always a distilled substance.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the things that got put into aquavit, I'll be real honest, I'm not sure you actually got much impact from them. It was just to say it was fancy, because, yeah. But there's a real distinct difference between something like what we're making and most cordials, and certainly any distilled cordials. And the big difference is we're adding acid in and there's no alcohol.
Okay. And if someone were interested in doing more of this, not necessarily cordials, what sources besides just the internet could you recommend?
Oh, I've got it kind of depends on how far you want to dive in. I've got one book that is, which I think you can find on Amazon. I can put links up later, but it's basically the basic mechanics of it. It's telling you the difference between a shrub and a cordial and a variety of other different things. It's a modern book. I think it's called Shrubs, Cordials, and Something Oh My. I mean, it's definitely a modern book. It was written like in the 70s. It's a nice basic to kind of get your feet wet. If you want to get into like research, then let me go grab it. But it's a book that was actually written in period, and there's about 6 different versions of it it's actually sort of like how to maintain a proper household. It covers everything from making candy to recovering wine that's starting to go sour. No, not Ménagère. This is a different one. But there are a couple of recipes from this book that are covered in Ménagère. But this one's interesting because it goes into distilling and a bunch of other stuff.
So
let me grab it.
Go find the book, because I think Sir Sam's trash talking you and they need to read the message to me.
Oh my goodness.
Sir Sam, I believe, said the floodgates are open because you asked Gabriella a question.
Valid.
Did you hear her response, guys? She said valid.
I seem to recall Sir Samuel saying that he was too busy to attend class tonight. For a man who's busy, you sure are starting a lot of trouble on this video. Oh.
I've heard many words to describe you, Sam, but lazy has not been one of them. Good, boxes are packed already, so you're going to be up here with the cool people. Ooh, tomorrow. Fantastic. There are several books, and Gabby will post them later on the cordials and stuff like that. She has one that she's done. She keeps saying your next project for an A&S is ways they preserved food in the time. And so we have little wooden boxes and paraffin wax, because you put something into a wooden box and then seal it by coating it with wax to make it last. So she's got lots of research books.
Yeah, I got a Sir Hugh Platt Delight for Ladies.
Sir Hugh Platt is the one Gabby uses.
Yes, and I was just reading parts of it going through, and I saw how they preserve grapes by submerging them in pitch. And I thought, that can't be good.
It worked. It actually semi-candied them.
Oh.
The pitch would prevent any oxygen or anything getting to the grapes, and then they'd peel the pitch off, wash the grapes, and you would have almost like a semi-candied grape.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. For one A&S thing, Gabby did flower waters, where she distilled flower waters. We got a fancy new rig to try to do it too. And of course, some years we make our own rose water too. And,
I would be interested to do that, I'll tell
I
you.
am really hoping to make it happen this year, but it's probably going to take more than just me.
well, I'm gonna need to deadhead and see if we can't push a second bloom to do it. We've done it the Alton Brown method, where you have a pot and you put ice in the lid, and the steam condenses on the inside of the lid,
And it works, but it's
yeah.
complicated.
But we have a big copper hoo-ha thing that's supposed to distill it out, that we bought from Portugal or someplace. So that's the plan for this year, if we can get enough rose petals.
I'll post a picture later.
Oh. So now what did Sam say? Surely there's something else you need to pack, Sam.
So Sam said, there it is. Gabby is tougher than me because I'm not eating a pitch-covered grape ever.
Well, you peel off the pitch.
And as I remember, Sam, you usually eat plenty of my food, and you aren't completely certain what's in it, are you?
So while I have you all here, I want to make a little pitch for further classes. There's a short Google form that I believe I have set up where you can do multiple entries. So if you have an idea for something that you personally might enjoy teaching a class for, you can submit as many class ideas with, you're including a list of supplies needed and a little description and give it a title. We're trying to teach these classes once a month. The barony polled the populace, and the response was that about twice a month something virtual was doable for people. So once a month we do something social like a feast or a bardic, and then the other time we thought a class would be fantastic. So if you have ideas that you would like to share, you can put your little proposals in there. Sorry, don't mean to be diminutive, but meaning brief, not not dismissive. And then I actually don't know how we're selecting the classes, other than that we are trying to diversify topics so that it's not every month is cooking, for instance. We want to, illustrate all of the arts and sciences that we can. And then additionally, if you personally have requests for something that you might like to learn, you are welcome to contact me, aka Liliana. So my email address is ladyliliana Delledra, DELLEDERA @gmail.com. And that's on our Unser Hafen webpage, or there's also the Minister of Arts and Science email too. So you can use that and just let me know what you might like to learn, and I'm happy to hunt for instructors. I think we've got a couple of ideas kicking around, but nothing confirmed for August. We are flexible on the date and time, but in general, the time period we are aiming to fill is a Sunday between 6:30 and 8:30, and it would be virtual. It's your choice whether we record or not. I do like being able to record it to share. We are working on probably what I would call a special class that is an opportunity to learn how to recommend people for awards. So the idea is, again, another kind of follow along class structure. Baroness Safia has said that she would teach us. We have not picked a date and time for that one yet. But essentially, she'll walk us through the various websites you can use to look up people's names, look up their current awards, look up what awards are possible, etc. So just kind of giving us an outline. And then ideally, you would be confidentially completing the process on your own computer as you were being instructed, so that then by the end of that course, there would be several new award recommendations submitted. So that's what I've got so far.
I will let people know. We just poured the little squares of Sekanjabin into this little freezer pack. And this is ball, like the canning jars. And I will freeze that, and then I will find out if it freezes and what happens to it. And if I could drop a cube or two in and do my 9-to-1 dilution and have like just a pitcher like at home, instead of doing it only in 5-gallon jugs.
That'd be great. Yeah, definitely. I don't know if you want to post about that on the Unser Hafen
will.
popular page. Okay.
I will. And how's the coconut sugar?
It never really thickened. So I gave up on it and I just poured it in and steeped it. Even fully concentrated, it tastes just fine.
Okay.
So there's that, I guess. We'll see. It might grow mold and, I don't know, attract aliens, but I've tried.
Well, everybody let me know if you make this conjurement. I especially am interested in how the honey turns out.
Here's the honey.
Ooh, looks good.
Mm.
And see, and that's a very valid packaging method, is to put it in canning jars.
I did put a little bit of rose petal in with the mint to steam.
Ooh.
Oh, I like the sound.
Oh,
I'm gonna
so.
want a taste of that.
Mistress Aldith has been the real expert. She came to one brewer's feast and did a recipe she'd found for period cikanjabin that ended up being much darker because it used more, her research told her it was more like a balsamic vinegar. And then she did the more modern, which is sweeter. And we could taste both of them. That was fascinating.
She did one with the strawberries with the mint, which
Ooh.
was very interesting.
Ooh, that would be. Okay, I've always been afraid of that, so I have never. In many references, we've seen things. We did a big batch of rose petal pudding for that school demo, and I had a lot left over. And all the recipes and all the information say, well, it never, you can leave it out on the counter as long as it didn't get too hot, and it would be fine. And we had it in the refrigerator for like a month, and it was in the back, and we forgot about it, and we pulled it out after 4 to 6 weeks, and yes, indeed, it molded, even in the fridge.
Well, and to be fair, that wasn't cooked down enough.
It wasn't, but yeah, I always do back up, and I just don't trust, because I could theorize that medievally, when they said it wouldn't spoil, they were talking about consuming it in a matter of weeks, because food didn't go to waste. And there was always never enough. So I will bottle mine later. I'm going to try the ice cube experiment. But cikanjabin is very much like meatloaf. Everybody has their own little twist. And so, yes, Liliana?
Sorry, I am a little mischievous, and my housemate said, "Don't you dare," and I'm like totally clueless, and I look over. And she's folded double with her rump in the air, which usually entices me to smack the crap out of her. So that's, yes.
So that's basically, develop your own cikanjabin. I think that we're real fans of it. And I think it's very, very helpful for being out in hot weather. And it being a halfway between, I used to always do water with lemon slices in it, but that gets pretty acidic and kind of bitter sitting in a cooler. So hopefully you'll happily make many kinds of cikanjabin, and other people will start bringing it to events too, because I think it's a great thing for fighters, anybody who's standing out in the hot, cooks. Yeah, I would throw it away if I saw mold on it too. I think Sir Sam's being obnoxious, as is his wont. Because Sam posted somebody forgot a jar in the back of the cupboard and it had molded. And Sam said, peel the mold off and drink it anyway. That's medieval.
I think this is that creative part of the,
Yeah, creative anachronism, like, I hope not to die.
props to that.
But then Sir Sam is a fighter.
Mm.
And we all know that they'll try things that the rest of us won't.
Pickle juice popsicles.
Yeah, the pickle juice pops. Apparently, if you're real hot and you sweat a lot, pickle juice is like manna from heaven. I was down in Trimera several years ago, and a lady there went on and on about her favorite fighter recipe, where she would boil whole chickens in jars of pickles and pickle juice. And that people would, I can't imagine boiling chicken in pickle juice.
Yeah, it was like
Dill pickle.
it was like Jello jigglers. She would cook it down until it gelled, and then cut it in little jiggler squares.
Yeah. She said the fighters all lined up for it and loved it. And I was like, well, that's fighters.
Gross. Although I'm a fighter, and yeah, pickle juice has done a ton for when after a long day and when you haven't really drunk enough water anyway. But it's more for the electrolytes to boost them.
Yeah.
So,
But
But,
would
yeah.
you boil chickens in it?
no, God, no.
She went on and on about how it made just such a lovely texture and taste in the chicken. And I was just, oh, Sam's on a roll. He just posted that's foul. Oh,
Both a groaner and accurate.
yes, so an accurate groaner. Way to go, Sam.
We may need to bring Rory in to kind of.
Oh,
yes,
man.
his chicken story, chicken beer,
Yeah, his
Cock ale.
cock ale.
cock ale, yeah. Oh,
Gag, barf, puke.
yes. So I
Joke of the day.
don't have anything else about Sekanjabin. And it appears that the whole conversation is
Derailed.
degenerating to a low level.
I mean, we are a little socially deprived.
Yes, we are.
I guess since the class part is mainly over, I'll stop the recording.
Well, thank you. I'm delighted people,